It is the race for the White House. They're calling it the closest election in a generation. We'll tell you why. We'll break it down on the magic wall for you. Let's start from 8 years ago, the shock victory of Donald Trump, pipping Hillary Clinton to become the president of the US in 2016. He won with 307 electoral college votes, even though in the popular vote, Hillary Clinton got 48% of the popular vote and Donald Trump manages 47%. In fact, Hillary Clinton had 3% more popular vote, 3 million, in fact, 3 million more popular votes than Donald Trump. And yet she went on to lose because she lost some key battleground states. This was 2016, the shock result where Donald Trump came from behind and defeated Hillary Clinton despite losing the popular vote. Then in 2020, bang in the middle of COVID, after the rather tumultuous 4 years of a Trump presidency, Joe Biden, the Democratic candidate, beat Donald Trump. Donald Trump did not get a second term because Joe Biden swept both the popular vote. In fact, he had more than 50% of the popular vote, a massive difference, 51.3 and 46.9, almost a 5% gap in the popular vote. And more importantly, that 5% gap translated into 303 electoral college votes for Joe Biden and just 235 for Donald Trump. And part of how he managed to do that was by winning some of these battleground states. I'll get to that in 1 second. So 2024, why is it being predicted to be such a close, such a tight race? This is the starting point for Kamala Harris. She starts with 175 strong seats because these are states like California, Washington State, Illinois, and of course the whole bunch of states in the East Coast, all the way from Maine and New Hampshire up in the north down to Maryland and of course the DC area. If you were to look at some leaning constituencies, some Democrat-leaning states, you have New Mexico, Colorado, Oregon, Minnesota. Tim Walz comes from Minnesota. So that takes her to 226. So 226 is where Kamala Harris starts election night on. What about Donald Trump? Donald Trump has a solid, safe seats of 188 electoral college votes. That includes much of the states in the South, big states like Texas, Louisiana, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Montana. So these are solidly red states. And then there are red-leaning states. The biggest of them is Florida with 30 electoral college votes. Florida used to be a toss-up. Barack Obama had won Florida on both occasions in 2008 and in 2012, but now it's a solidly Republican state. So this is the starting point for Donald Trump at 219 and Kamala Harris at 226. So whoever wins the remaining 7 states, which is Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania, North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada, will win the presidency. Remember, last time in 2020, Joe Biden won 6 out of these 7 states. He won Wisconsin, he won Michigan, he won Pennsylvania, he won Georgia, Arizona, and Nevada. He lost North Carolina. Thereby, he swept the electoral college votes. In 2016, when Trump won, and this was the shock because a Republican had not won those states until 20 years prior to that, when he won Wisconsin, Michigan, and Pennsylvania. These are the so-called blue wall states. This is solidly, or used to be solidly Democratic a decade or 2 decades ago, but now these are toss-up states. And for Kamala Harris, these 3 states are must-win. She has to win Wisconsin, she has to win Michigan with 15 electoral college votes, Wisconsin with 10, and Pennsylvania, which is the biggest one, with 19 electoral college votes. These 3 add up to about 44 electoral college votes, and these 3 are must-win for the Democratic nominee, because if she doesn't win any one of these states, then she has to win the remaining, which is far tighter. The Sun Belt states of North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona, Nevada are harder to win than these so-called blue wall or Great Lakes states, the old Rust Belt as it's known, Wisconsin, Michigan, Pennsylvania. That is where both Harris and Donald Trump will be focusing their energies on in the last few days of this campaign. Ultimately, it boils down to these half a dozen or so battleground states. Between them, they have about 40-odd electoral college votes, and that really is where this election is going to be either made or it is going to destroy one of the fortunes of one of these 2 candidates.